3/4 pounds. However, that is nearly 300 pounds over his body weight. Tremendous pull. Look how easily he racks the weight. He recovers very nicely. Now he just takes a little dip at the knees, and he'll jerk the weight over his head. There it is. It's over his head. Well done. 473 3/4 pounds.
And with that lift, he now moves into first place. You see the 3 lights indicating that it was a successful lift. And we'll take a look at the replay to see just how he's done it. And Bruce, he does seem to be much more of a technical lifter.
Well, he's not tremendously muscle-bound, but you can see here he has excellent technique. He racks the bar well across his chest. He has a little problem coming to the sticking point, but that happens with all lifters. This point here, he has to jerk the weight over his head, actually behind his ears. He steps right through his arms as he jerks the weight, wedges himself under the weight. Here you see it. Well done. Very nicely done lift.
The overall standings after 1 round of the clean and jerk, we find somewhat of a surprise. Asen Zlatev has moved up in the first place. But keep in mind that the man in second place, Naim Sulegymanoglu, is a 2-time defending champion. And holding down third place is Krastev, again, all 3 from Bulgaria. And this is Naim Sulegymanoglu getting a little bit of a rub down before he goes out for his second attempt in the clean and jerk. Earlier, we saw him set a world record in the snatch.
Here we see his initial pull. It took a long time over the bar. Nice tug, brings the weight high, moves under it. The lift wasn't as easy as previous world records done by him, but still 326, no matter how you slice it. It's a lot of weight for this little man.
And with that successful lift, he was not short on the emotion he had in displaying his pleasure. But then came his first lift in the clean and jerk.
Nice thigh brush, racks the weight well. The clean was no problem for him. In the jerk portion of it, however, after he readjusts the weight, he starts to dip here. You'll see him unlock his knees. He leans forward. Leaning forward, the weight's out of control. He has to walk forward, wedge himself under it. Then he has a sloppy lift.
Well, he'll try and make up for it here in his second attempt in the clean and jerk, going for 101% of the world record.
That's 418 3/4 pounds. And it's an awful lot of weight. Remember, he weighs 132 pounds. This is over triple body weight. He's got his shoulders chalked. You see the chalk in there to keep the bar from slipping. Long time over the bar. Slow pull. He's got the weight rack. Oh, he's grinding up out of the bottom. All he has to do is jerk it. It's almost there. Tough break. The weight was out front. Like I stated, he cannot make it unless he gets underneath of the weight.
It would seem to me, Bruce, and as we look at the 3 red lights indicating a bad lift by the judges, that with a person his size, if his concentration isn't there, the first thing that does go is the technical aspect of his weightlifting.
Look at it in slow motion. We can see he really hits the bottom position. He bounces out of the bottom. He's got his head together on this part. Now the jerk, of course, is the most difficult part for him, and he has a tendency to jerk out front, as we saw in his 385 on his opening attempt. With this, you can see he jerks out front. He tries to get his upper body under it, but there's no way. He has to be totally under the weight.
With Sulegymanoglu failing at that attempt, it really opens the door for Krastev with this attempt at 92.4% to move from third into second place.
540 pounds are loading on the bar, and it's a lot of weight. He's been lifting really well. He's a very balanced lifter.
I have to ask you this, Bruce. Does it frustrate a big man to know he's going to lift more than anyone else and could still possibly be beat by a small person?
The big man is never frustrated. Speaking of frustration, let's take a look at Sulegymanoglu here, a little bit perturbed in the back room because, you know, he has to take the same weight over.
But right now, it's Krastev on the platform.
Notice the chalk on his hands. This is really a critical part of the lift. You have to secure the grip. And the lifters use what's called a hook grip. They hook their fingers over the thumb. Let's take a look. He takes a long set position here in the bottom, and this is, I think it's detrimental, but it doesn't seem to hurt his lifting much. Good pull. It got the weight racked. Look how well he's got it racked. Comes out of the bottom position without the usual rebound. Readjusts the weight at his shoulders. Now all he has to do is jerk the weight. Easily done over his head. 540 pounds like tissue paper.
Krastev, a tremendous lift with great ease, moves up into second place. You see there the judges approving, and that's Zlatev. He's still holding on the first place, and we may have an upset here in the World Cup Weightlifting Championship. Australia, or down under as it's called, is no easy task. We departed Los Angeles, California on a Wednesday, flew over the Pacific and the international date line, arriving in Sydney, Australia on Friday morning. From this cosmopolitan city, we decided to change forms of transportation, from jet planes to a train across the entire continent. Just as the clock tower keeps the correct time, so does the Indian Pacific leave on schedule. 3 days across the Australian continent. Come on aboard. We leave the sea behind to cross the great dividing range that separates the coast from the outback. We pass through small towns with names like Ivanhoe, Lithgow, Newbridge, names that connect to their past with Great Britain. From rolling hills to seemingly endless plains that remind us of the Southwest.
Lunch now being served in the dining car, thank you.
Yes, through it all, a single meal was never missed. And you can imagine with the train movement in tight quarters, the waiters were quite acrobatic. Watching them work, you can certainly appreciate the fact that they have their ABCs down. Agility, balance, and coordination. Now, they serve up to 144 people in 3 seatings of 48, each seating taking no more than 1 hour. And it's also a chance for the people you travel with to sit down and get a chance to know each other from all parts of the world. For instance, Candace is right from Australia, Shell over here is from England, and Chuck is from Alaska. And for 3 days, we get to enjoy each other's company. That company becomes very important as you head out across the world's longest stretch of straight track, almost 300 miles across the Nullarbor region. Nullarbor meaning no trees. This train experience provided a much closer look at the physical character of Australia and more. In 3 days, 2,376 miles, the Indian Pacific did something a flight from Pittsburgh to New York seldom does. It departed on time, and it arrived on time. We're back to World Cup Weightlifting Championship competition. And Bruce, I haven't seen a single person dressed like you so far. Let's take a look at the overall standings after 2 lifts in the clean and jerk. In first place is Asen Zlatev. Second place, Antonio Krastev. And a surprising third place holder is Naim Sulegymanoglu, the 2-time defending champion. But once again, it's the Bulgarians who still dominate this competition. Right now, we're getting ready for Sulegymanov's 3rd attempt. As you can see, he's going for 101% of the world record.
Well, the pressure's really on him, Len. He has to make it. It's a new world record in the clean and jerk, 418 3/4 pounds. It'll be a new total record also. One of the things about weightlifting, you cannot go back down, once you miss an attempt. So he has to make this weight.
Is he ready for this? Can he do it?
He physically can do it because we saw him clean it before, but he's mentally a little bit off. I think his concentration's lacking today. Good pull. He's got the weight rack. He's got to struggle. He's really struggling. This is going to make it difficult to jerk. It takes a lot of energy. He has to jerk it really hard. He has to wedge himself under the weight. There it is. It's out front. As he did in the past, he jerked the weight a little bit out front. He didn't set himself properly. It's a tough break.
But Bruce, he missed that badly. It was a terrible miss.
Well, he drove it off of his shoulders out front. He's not wedging himself. Like I said, I think his concentration's off a bit.
And that's Asen Zlatev, and he has to feel very confident at this stage as we see Sulegymanov, Bruce, who has to be disappointed not being able to defend his championship.
Well, obviously, there's a certain amount of dejection, but I feel he just took too big a jump between his first and second attempt.
With that unsuccessful lift, he certainly leaves the door open for Aleksandar Varbanov to make this lift and move into 3rd place.
462 3/4 pounds, well within his capability also. He does hold a world record at 473. Good tug on it. Look at that. Comes up very nicely. No sticking problem at all. Little dip at the knees. Long time at the chest. A little bit out front. He controls it. Look, he's almost hyperextending his left elbow. Tremendous control.
Varbanov taking advantage of the opportunity, moving himself into 3rd place. And Bruce, it's another Bulgarian.
It sure is. Look at the way this man walks. He's got some enormous thighs. They're about 27 inches. And for a man of that stature, that's huge. Squats well over 650 pounds. This man was very, very strong.
Asen Zlatev, the leader, has a chance to clinch the championship, going for 100.2% of the world record.
Not only a new world record in the clean and jerk, Len, of 497 pounds, but also be a new total world record. Now, this is really superb lifting. However, he did retire after the World Championships, and I'm somewhat amazed that he has come back and even considered to lift in this meet. Let's take a look at his lift. Long time over the bar. Sometimes this is good, sometimes not so good. Lack of concentration, possibly. I can't believe it. I'm somewhat surprised. He should have been able to move under that quite easily as he cleaned it easily on his second attempt. Probably a lack of concentration or a lack of desire.
Even though he missed it, Zlatev is still the overall leader. but right on his tracks. Antonio Krastev, super heavyweight world champion winner, has an opportunity to move up the ladder and win this competition. If you didn't see a koala bear or a kangaroo, at the Healesville Sanctuary, just outside Melbourne, you can see Australian wildlife in a very natural setting, and a chance to see more than just kangaroos and koala bears. But Bruce, one thing I didn't see was a crocodile. Right now, Antonio Krastev has a chance to take over first place. But Bruce, he is only going to go for 94.3% of the world record, and that's not enough to take over first place.
That is correct. He's taken 551.5 pounds of weight he's made in the past. In order to win, he'd have to take 562.
Why is he doing that?
I would speculate because he and his coach, right there, his coach, Ivan Abadjiev, probably decided to be kind of a nice farewell present for Zlatev. The Bulgarian team's a very close-knit team, you know, and Zlatev has never won this championship, and this is his opportunity here. And like I say, you know, they'd like to see him go out in high style.
Is that common for the Bulgarian team to do?
I think so. I mean, they're a very team-oriented group. They're very close-knit. They live together, eat together, train together. Look at the way he always assumes his deep set style. You know, this always has somewhat perturbed me because it seems to fatigue the legs. Remember, for a man, it's 340 plus 350 pounds, depending on what he's been eating. He moves very fast. Good pull. He's got the weight rack. Look how he hits a dead stop on the bottom. Very difficult to come to the sticking position here. Now he'll take a slight dip. He'll ram the weight over his head. Easily over his head. 551.5 pounds. A great total by Antonio Krastev. Very happy man, you can see that. He's really a crowd pleaser. The crowd really loves this man.
And by that lift for the team, I'm sure his teammates respect him a great deal, Bruce, as we take another look.
Low pull position, nice thigh brush, moves well under the weight. The weight's well racked across his shoulders. He does not catch the rebound with the bar here. He actually uses pure leg strength. He stands up. Okay, he readjusts here because he has to have a better position to jerk the weight off of his chest. The bar's oscillating, slight dip. Uses a snap on a bar, jerks weight over his head, position in excellent style.
And you think he could have lifted more and taken first place?
Most definitely.
Well, he seems to be very pleased at what he has accomplished this afternoon. The final standings, a Bulgarian sweep and the World Cup weightlifting. First place, Asen Zlatev. He is followed by Antonio Krastev. Third place, Aleksandar Varbanov. And surprisingly, in fourth place, missing from the top three, is that man, Naim Sulegymanoglu, two-time defending champion, and very dejected over the fact that he could not repeat here in Australia.
But remember, he's still 19 years old, and he's got a great future ahead of him.
Bruce, were you surprised by the outcome?
Yes, I was surprised that Sulegymanoglu didn't win, but I was happy to see Zlatev win. And, of course, to see my favorite lifter, Antonio Krastev, to continue to progress balanced lifting. It's excellent.
Now, I'm telling you, Bruce, this is the fashion rave. I mean, I could be on the cover of Australian Outback Vogue. I mean, fashion coordination at its best.
Hey, Lynn, the next time you need some tips on how to dress when in Australia, why don't you ask me?